everyone, I'm Jana.
And I'm Julianne. Welcome to our podcast,
Life in a Salad.
So it's been a few weeks since we last did our podcast. And what have you been up to, Jana?
So I've just been working quite a bit at the hospital, and I actually made it to the gym this week a few times, so that was a success for me.
It is. So in case anyone is not aware, Jana is getting close to being 6 months pregnant, so that is definitely a big win.
Yeah, it is, because the first trimester was so rough. I won't go into any more details about that, but the past few months have been a lot better, so things are looking up, hopefully.
That's great. So very exciting. So you're doing well with your gym goals. I'm trying to think what Christian and I were doing. So we actually just celebrated our 5th anniversary. We've been married for 5 years now, which is pretty exciting. And we had a fun weekend trip planned. And then it was kind of just like a series of events happening to where it didn't happen. Christian went snowboarding and he injured his shoulder. And then the location we were going to go decided to suddenly just have a giant flooding downpour. We were going to do some camping, which might have been fun if it had not been raining, obviously.
You were going to California, right? Yeah, I think it's still raining there, last I saw in the news.
Yeah, it's been
flooding.
like that for weeks. So that was one reason why we didn't end up going, and then Christian got sick too. We thought, well, maybe the rain dies down a little bit, which didn't happen either. So anyway, we just hung out at home, and yeah, here's to 5 years.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Anything else in the past week?
That's been the main thing for us. I mean, yeah, we were kind of enjoying the weather here. It's officially spring now, and we're not having the flooding issues where we're at, so we've just been doing some nice hiking. I went running, actually. Did I tell you that?
Where did you go running?
Just around our neighborhood. So I think honestly it's been so long since I've done that at all, and they're just kind of like interval runs, but I just wanted to start adding it in. It was fun. I did it twice in the last week.
Wow.
Just kind of run intervals. I don't know, it's something different. I'm switching into my workouts, but I kind of felt really good doing it, which I don't know. I think sometimes if I try to do a longer just endurance running, sometimes I don't feel quite as good, but they were just little short bursts, and yeah, I felt great after.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think cardio is good to add in here and there, so.
I know, well, and that was something I think we discussed before. I was doing kind of reverse dieting, and I had been focusing more on weight training and weightlifting, very little cardio other than just maybe walks or hikes or maybe short bike rides here or there. So it was actually really good to get back into it. I felt good doing it.
Yeah, that's great. So on another note, the Suits podcast was inspired by our friend Frenchie.
Oh, shout out to Frenchie.
Yeah, she wanted us to give her a shout out.
Yes.
There's this app that they came up with in France. It's pronounced yuka.
Yes, so it's YUKA.
Yes, and
I might have a picture of it. I could try to show you it.
Yeah, I don't know how good that'll be on
I
here.
don't know. This is sort of what it looks like, a carrot. Sort of what the apple looked like. It's a little bit of a, picture of what it looks like.
So this app, she had told us about a few years ago, and I didn't really give it another thought or care. I'm like, I just use whatever products I use, and that's it. But since I got sick a while ago, I've been more cognizant on what I've been using and what's in products.
Mm-hmm.
And this specific app, you can scan different beauty products or health products and also food, and it'll rate it from 0 to 100 and give you the reasons why it's good or bad or excellent or whatever it has listed.
Yeah, this has been actually really fun, and I know we're kind of a little late to the game maybe hearing about it. A few years ago we hadn't thought much about it. So Jenna and I both have been experimenting with this too the last couple weeks. It's been fun. Kind of just raiding through our bathrooms and, I don't know, beauty closets and drawers. So it's been pretty shocking too. Some products that we thought, when they'll have keywords like natural or organic, you expect it's going to be healthy for your body and your skin. And some of these were a little surprisingly pretty unhealthy.
Right. So I have a bunch of different products I've bought from all over the place and things that say, like, she was saying, like, natural, or it'll have coconut oil or whatever it says in it. I'm like, oh, it seems good. I'm going to get it. And I think it is really good. And then after getting this, and also looking at the environmental workers group, some of their listings for products that say, like, they're not good for whatever reason has really opened up my eyes to getting products that actually are good. So it's been very interesting to see, like, oh, half the stuff I use is not that good for me.
I know I'm really sad about it because I feel like I'm that person that likes to stock up on things, especially if maybe there's a sale or something and I, maybe picked out some products I wanted to try or were my favorites, and now some of them, it was great because they ended up being healthy and I feel good about continuing to use them, but others, I'm a little disappointed or sad that I'm gonna have to say goodbye to them, and I don't really want to throw them out, but some of them are pretty unhealthy.
Well, and I think some things to consider too is that if you are starting to do this or want to do this, is that it doesn't all have to be done in one day, or like throw all your stuff away and have to go spend hundreds of dollars on new stuff. It's kind of just right. It's kind of just implementing things over time, making small changes, and that's really key to a lot of things, but especially with this when you're getting rid of a bunch of stuff and trying to decide what's healthy. So
that's what we kind of decided. Maybe some of the products, you're kind of just using them up first, and then what to search for in the future. That's something I thought was actually very cool. We're going to, after this podcast, we're going to share some follow-up videos, just going through some of our different products in our bathroom, maybe even some food products, and we'll just share some healthy options and what we learned about just utilizing this app. But something that's really cool, when you do scan the different products, it will show you if it is, for example, maybe an unhealthy item. It might mark it as poor or bad if it's pretty bad. And in that case, you can also just scroll down on the app and it will show you some alternative, healthier options, which is pretty helpful.
Right. I feel like that's a really great option if you're wondering what's healthy. Or what else you could use. So I think another thing to take into account is to just be intuitive on what you are buying, because it might rate a product as not as great, or maybe it's just good or less than good.
Yes.
And you have to go in and look the reasons why. Some will actually say carcinogenic ingredients, or it might just say because there's too much sodium. And if you are watching sodium, maybe that's important to you. Or it might just say too much fat, and we all need some fat. So It just depends kind of what you're looking for.
So this is especially going to be relevant when we're talking about researching and scanning food products. So anything that's going to be in a container, bag, anything that has a barcode, you can go ahead and scan and find this information. So in this case, definitely you do want to be intuitive about it. So I know I've scanned different products that were overall maybe only had a couple different ingredients, and so they're pretty natural and they don't have any of those negative extra chemicals or carcinogenic type of materials in there, but it is just rating it higher because it thinks it has a higher percentage of, like you said, that fat, or maybe it's a little bit higher calorie wise. So just being aware of what your specific nutrient needs are, your caloric needs, that's going to give you a lot of information. If you're maybe more active, or maybe you're kind of athletic, even if something says it's maybe rating it as a little bit lower, maybe bad or something because it's higher in sodium, but you're super active, that might not actually be a bad thing.
Right. So I think it just depends on your body, what you're looking for. And like I said earlier, if there's some things that are apparently bad, they're probably just bad in general. Some other things to consider from the app it brings up potential carcinogenic ingredients, and I think two big ones that are kind of a hot topic would be parabens and phthalates. And for the longest time, I heard this going around. I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Everyone just recommended to avoid these things in your beauty products. And
right.
We're just like, oh, okay. but what are they really?
Right. So parabens are man-made chemicals. We make them out there somewhere.
In a lab.
Yeah, in a lab. Exactly. And then They're used as preservatives.
Do you need to redo this? Oh my gosh, stop. Okay, just press stop.
So parabens are man-made chemicals. They're, I believe, made in a lab. They're not found naturally. And so they're used as preservatives in skin and beauty products, and it's to preserve the beauty product. However, they're apparently not good for us. So the question is, why does that even matter? It disrupts our,
not good for us.
right.
Yeah.
It disrupts our hormones, they're endocrine disruptors, and so it can have a whole host of effects on how your body metabolizes things and how it just overall functions together. And this was actually put out by EWG, or the Environmental Working Group, and they have a whole list of different products, including even cleaning products, that you can look up to see why they have such bad effects and what's good, what's not. And so I feel like that's really helpful.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and another thing is that these are perceived as toxic, and so when our body is taking toxins, like, our body knows that, and so they just don't handle them well, and that's why I think it causes so many different effects on people, and they end up having health issues that they kind of wonder, where did this even come from?
I think we see that in a lot of, kind of just health issues in today's society. So Jana and I both work in the healthcare field. I'm working as a health coach, she's a nurse, and we see this all the time. Both women and men are having hormonal type of, issues, fertility issues. It kind of just impacts the entire metabolic system. So, just contributing to all types of different, I would say even autoimmune concerns, and kind of just these different chemicals in our environment. They build up in the body over time, and that's why it's concerning. So you might think, okay, here or there. I mean, if you go and are exposed to things in a very small amount, might not affect you too much. But thinking of all of these different factors. So if we're using these products in our hair products, our makeup, our skin, our lotions, we're ingesting them. It's kind of just an overhaul for your entire system. And sometimes it's too much for your individual body to handle.
Right. I think everyone has a different threshold, and part of it is, how much stress can you handle, but also all these toxins affect it. And so, if everyone has a different level of what they can handle, when you have too much, like, sometimes your body just can't, and it starts reacting in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And these products that we put on our skin or in our hair are absorbed through our body. I know some people disagree with that, but that's been proven. And kind of, why do they give women who are in menopause hormones? Like, they'll prescribe them a hormonal cream.
Oh yeah.
And it's effective for them because they absorb it through their skin. So it's kind of to say, why wouldn't we absorb these products and these chemicals through our skin? I think.
Yeah. The skin is actually, in case that's kind of a trivia question, a lot of people know, maybe from basic, 101 with science, that the skin is the largest organ of the body. So, it just shows everything that you're going to be exposing, even sunscreens. That's a big one.
Oh,
actually.
yes. Sunscreen is very big. I know you had mentioned you tried to go to.
Okay, I went
Walmart
to. I literally. I think I went. I think I tried it maybe both. But yeah, I was going around having fun with the Yuka app and just scanning different things. I literally scanned pretty much the entire wall of sunscreens, and they were all rated bad or poor. They all had very negative chemicals in them, except for one. There was one that was good. It was, I can't remember for certain. I think it was, did I tell you what it was? I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember the name of it because I wasn't really paying attention, but
I think it was nature or something. I'll have to come back and refresh.
I think
it's, but there was maybe just one.
Yeah, I think it's good to
bad.
hear that though, because I just go pick up sunscreen and use whatever, and then you think that it's doing good when really it may be doing you even more harm. Not that you should just be out in the sun, but
no. But you want to make sure that you're not also exposing yourself to these negative chemicals. Obviously, we're not wanting to get skin cancer, but you also don't want to get cancer and other issues from these chemicals in your sunscreen products either.
Right. Another big one that I think of is phthalates.
Yes. So that's another big buzzword on the different, shampoo bottles and hair products, that type of thing. So Jenna, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what phthalates are?
Right, so phthalates are chemicals that are turned into plastics, and it's not just in what you would think just a normal plastic Tupperware container. It can actually be in shampoos and lotions, and I believe even vinyl flooring.
Yes.
And so I don't know how bad it is in vinyl flooring because I'm not rolling all over the ground typically.
but who knows? I mean, you have your dogs and
Right.
babies. They
Yeah,
put everything in their mouth.
exactly.
They lick the floors, so that's concerning.
Right.
Actually.
And I guess the other thing it makes me think of, if they're putting this in a product for vinyl flooring, why would I want to put that in my skin? Like, I don't know. I just don't think that would be for the best. It also can be found in food. Not that they're pouring these chemicals in food, but
That's concerning.
the more processed food you eat, the more that it can be added in just by being processed in factories that use certain plastics and probably even conveyor belts and ways to make this food or put it in the container that it's going to be sold in, and then it's just sitting in there, and so essentially you're probably eating traces of it.
Well, that's where I think you were mentioning earlier, just plastic water bottles and foods that come in plastic bags, those type of chemicals, and especially if it's something that you're heating up. So think, microwavable dinners. I know when I was growing up, I used to eat those, and they were fun. Like, what did they call them? Microwave TV dinners?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were a fun thing for kids to eat, and it's covered and sitting in this plastic that you're heating it up. It's leaching into your food, and who knows what kind of long-term issues that those cause for you.
Right. I also think of plastic water bottles. Like, ever since I've heard about this, I've tried to avoid them, and sometimes I just can't. Like, if you're at a function
it's challenging.
Yeah, I was at a picnic the other day, and I forgot to bring my own water, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to not drink water. So I think it's just good just to be cognizant and think of these things, but at the same time, I feel like you can't get too paranoid about it and obsessed. So I think it's that happy balance, but if you can, try to reduce it. Don't, like you're saying, heat up plasticware in the microwave or things like that, because it can emit those chemicals.
Yeah, that's something I found so helpful, and I think I love that it became kind of a trend for everyone to have their hydro flasks.
Yeah.
Just because it is a better option rather than just using the plastic water bottles. Keeps your drinks cooler too, so it's better insulation, and then of course you're not having to worry about using all that extra plastic, which is not great for the environment either. So we're recycling at the same time.
Yeah. And then just like parabens, phthalates are, again, endocrine disruptors. They can cause the risk of cancer or increase it, and just a whole host of things. And so for some who aren't familiar with what the endocrine system does, it actually regulates your metabolism, your hormones.
Blood sugar regulation.
Right.
Basically just keeps your body running and moving.
Yeah, and it releases hormones, and so if that's impacted or there's a disruption in that, then it can throw your hormones completely off, and it can have a whole list of effects, because hormones regulate so many things like digestion. For women, their menstrual cycles, men, how much testosterone they have, or how they produce sperm counts and things like that. And so it can even cause infertility issues for couples.
And this is becoming an increasing concern, which I don't think is surprising, as we're talking about how many products, just everything that we consume in our diets, that we put on our bodies, that we're utilizing for skincare and just regular beauty and hygienic products, even toothpaste. I looked that one up too.
I need to check mine.
Check your toothpaste, deodorants, those things. Everyone, it's not just for women and their beauty products. It's for maybe men's beauty products too. But yes, anything that you're using to take care of your body. And it's becoming an increasing concern that more and more individuals, both men and women, are having fertility concerns and issues. They're having hormonal disruptions and, kind of showing up, like you said, in women's menstrual cycles. Sometimes energy levels for both men and women, just more fatigue.
Right.
So it's a major concern that I'm actually glad that we're becoming more aware of, and this is a good chance too for us to share a little bit more about it.
Right. And so I think the question is, how can we avoid these things? I feel like you
because
can't.
they're everywhere. We just talked
Right.
about it.
Like, I feel like you can never avoid every toxin or every bad thing in the world.
No.
You'd have to stay in your house and live in a bubble
Which,
and hope that your house is green inside too.
yeah, yeah.
But some ways to avoid this are specifically lotions, perfumes, any product at the end that says added fragrance or just fragrance at the end typically has a paraben or a phthalate in it. They don't have to disclose what the fragrance is, they can just put it in there. I guess the company that I really think about is Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
We were huge fans. Julianne is especially a huge fan.
Yeah, I loved all their, and they have fun fragrances and their candles and their lotions. But unfortunately, and I used the Yuka app on that as well because I do have some of their products still, and as sad as that does make me, I think the only product I found so far that is okay is just their basic hand sanitizer because it's, there's not much going on in there.
Yeah.
That's about the same no matter where you go for in most cases.
Right. And then we had talked about already avoiding plastics as much as you can. I hardly have any plastic in my house at this point.
Yeah.
Which I probably need to get rid of more of it.
Yeah, we have a few. I think we've mainly transitioned over, and I think different companies like Pyrex, that's great. Just glass containers to store your food in.
Right.
You can even bake with glassware. That type of option is going to be very helpful. So yeah, just trash all of the plastic. I think containers, don't heat your food up in it. I feel like you can get them pretty inexpensively too. Wouldn't you say, glassware and that type of product?
I definitely think so. And I think, you could have a counter argument of, well, like for instance, I had plastic bowls at home. They say BPA free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, maybe they're BPA free, but I forget where I read this article and I don't remember who it was by, but they were saying like, yeah, they say BPA free, but there's another chemical that's basically the cousin or very similar to that chemical that they're using instead to say this is BPA free, but there's other things in it probably. So I think it's just best as much as you can to just avoid it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something sneaky that these companies will do is try to find something, because they know that we're trying to avoid these certain products, and they'll try to, sneak it in there, like you said, under a different name that maybe you're not familiar with. So just something to be aware of.
And then also the FDA has never banned these, especially in cosmetics. They say that they're safe, it's fine. They haven't come up with any conflicting evidence at this point. But it's interesting because Europe has banned all of these out of their products. And so you kind of have to think, like, why is one country doing this versus another? I feel like there's a lot of examples like this, including with cleaning products and many other things.
Well, just food products. So if you ever talk with anyone who's been to Europe or maybe is from Europe, they will notice, for example, with food products, they don't have the same, I guess, leniencies or allowances there. And so the food tastes very different. Even you'll just get maybe, something like a bottle of ketchup. We noticed this when we went there. Tastes nothing like what it tastes like in the US. They don't use the same products. They don't allow the same products to be used, and it actually tastes way fresher, way better, in my opinion. Probably most people's opinions. The food that they have in Europe compared to here, and unfortunately, we probably can't go change anything they're doing about the way they make ketchup in the U.S. But what can we do? Trying to make your own foods as much as you possibly can, avoiding the processed things that do come in those plastic bottles, plastic packages, anything like that. When you are using those foods too, you can always take a look at the ingredients on the back. They are going to have that information listed for you there. If you don't want to read through the whole thing, and it does have a barcode, just pull up that yuka app and it'll help you out too. So that's something that's been helpful.
Yeah, I feel like it's been really helpful because sometimes I just didn't even want to read through all the ingredients because they're so lengthy. Or
they are.
If I see like 25 to 30 ingredients in a product, I'm automatically put it back because I'm like, this is just too many, and I kind of know what to look
half
for.
of it is even.
Yeah, when it says like sodium diphosphate, I'm like, I don't know what that is. So, I think all you can do is try to do your best with it and avoid what you can.
Yeah, I agree. So On that note, we will be definitely sharing some of those follow-up videos. If you want to keep an eye out, we'll go through maybe some of our bathroom products. Maybe we'll check out the stores and just try to, help you out with finding some alternative options, or knowing maybe some of the products that you might have might not be working out as well as you hoped. So we'll plan to follow up with that. Otherwise, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
I think that pretty much wraps it up for me. Those are the main points that I've been focusing on lately. So we'll continue to post more on Facebook, especially Instagram, and then our podcast is on Spotify and Apple.